Okay. So in the last class, we were talking about few things. We learned what is the use of this super keyword. This super keyword can be used to call the constructor. It can be used to call a variable in superclass. So if I'm calling the super keyword from the subclass, for that subclass, it will have one superclass. That superclass variable will be called. And um, there are two classes, class A and class B. Class A will be the superclass, and class B we are making it as a subclass. So from the class B, if I'm calling a function with the keyword super dot function name, so if there exists a function in the superclass, so that function will be called. So we learned the usage of the super keyword, then how the constructors will be called, it will be called from the super class, then subclass. So that is the order that will be followed. And what do you mean by overridden methods? So when two functions, when the function names are same in two classes, the subclass functions will be given preference compared to the super classes. So with this we will call it as the overridden or method overriding. So there is a difference between method overriding and overloading. See, method overloading means function overloading. See, different function name will be same, but parameters will be different. Like one function will take two parameters, one function will take three parameters, or different types of parameter. One might take integer parameter, the other one might take float parameter. But function overriding means same function with same parameters in different classes. So this we will call it as function um, overloading. Then we learned about the dynamic dispatch method where um, we have the same function name in three different classes. So which function to be called, which function, based like whether which function in which class to be called, was decided based on the reference object with the object that is assigned to that reference object. Like we had three classes called A, B, C. All the three classes had a function called display function. Then we created the object for each of the classes. Then we created a reference variable and we assigned the reference variable. When A object was assigned to reference variable, A class method was called. When B object was assigned to the reference variable, B class method was called, like that. So now in this class we will talk about abstract method. What do you mean by overridden? Why we are using this overridden method? And what is the importance of final keyword? So why we are using overridden method means, so this overridden method will allow Java to support runtime polymorphism. Like like, see, for example, there is one class. For example, there is one class called A. So this class can be the generalized class. So whatever features is common, whatever attributes are there, whatever functionality which is common for all the module can be written here. So the general things can be, the common things that are needed by the other classes can be written here, and the subclasses can refer them. Subclasses can refer them and they can add their own features. For example, there is a class called if subclass. If the main class you take it as a box, then you can create a class called box weight, which will um, check the weight of the box. You can create a class called box color, which will decide the color of the box, and also box cost, which will decide the box of the cost. See here, all this, the box weight, box color, box cost, they are taking the common features from the box class. The common features are taken from the box class, and they are adding their unique features. Like here, the box weight will add the weight feature, color will add the color feature, the cost will add the cost feature. So what is happening means the class is becoming more specific. See, general class will contain methods that will be common to all the derivatives, and subclasses will have its own specific implementation. Here box weight is having its own implementation called weight. Color is a specific implementation for the box color, and cost is a specific implementation for the box cost. So like this. So this is Why we will be using uh, this class hierarchy like inheritance. So now one more thing is like um, one more thing is like, so this overridden methods will allow Java to implement one interface, multiple methods. So what do you mean by this one interface, multiple method means? See, you can have the method with the same name. You can have a method with the same name, and in the subsequent classes you can provide uh, the class specific implementation, like uh, like like there is a class, so we will have one class called area. We will have one class called area. So this will be my general class. So this will be my general class. So after that what I will do means I will create an class called square. I will create a class called square. So it is taking the features from the area class. And now, so this class called area will have a function called area underscore calculator. We can call it as area underscore cal. Area underscore cal means it is having a function called area underscore calculator. Or uh, so this might be confusing. No, to simplify, we'll call this class as the shape class. So there is a class called shape, and it is having a function called area. So now through this overriding method, what we can do means through this overriding method, what we can do means um, we can first, by using inheritance, we can, this will be my super class and this will be my subclass. So I will create an inheritance relationship, a square extends shape. So after this for this square class, I can have a function area to calculate area of square. Similarly, I can create a rectangle class which will extend this base class called shape, and it will have a function called area. So it will compute area of rectangle. Similarly, I can create a class called triangle from this class called which will inherit the features from shape and have a function called area. It will compute area of triangle. So so this is the usage. This in this scenarios, the overridden method will be useful. Function name is same. See, the function name is same in superclass, subclass, but the implementation is different. Here it is the generalized one, but here it is specific. Here you are finding the area of a square, here you are finding the area of a rectangle, here you are finding area of a triangle. So this is a practical implementation. So this is a practical example of using method overriding. So what I did in this example is I created a super class called shape. I created a superclass shape, so it can store the details associated with the variables, like the variables for that shape. It can be length, it can be breadth, it can be radius, anything. So after that, I am creating a function called area. I am creating a function called area. What that function area will do means it will compute the area of an object. Area of an object. So after this, so this is my superclass. This is my superclass. After that, I created three subclasses. One class I called it as square. One I called it as one I created a class called square. I created a class called rectangle. I created a class called triangle. So what these classes?
Great.
Okay, I'll just erase this. One second. Okay. See, why we are using overriding method means, see, I am creating a class called I will create a class called shape. So I'll create a class called shape, and in this I will create a function called area. So what this will do means it will just compute the area of an object. So what it will just compute the area. So after this, I'll create. So this I will call it as the super class. This I will call it as a super. So this is my super class. So it will contain variables and a function called area, which will compute the area of an object. So after this, I'll create one class called rectangle. So this is the subclass. So you know that rectangle will be the, see, I'm not writing the code. Rectangle extends shape. If I write like that, rectangle will become the subclass for shape. So I will create subclasses like rectangle, square, and triangle. I will create three subclasses for this superclass called shape. So each of the subclasses will contain a function called area, area, area. So but rectangle function, like the rectangle's area function will calculate area of rectangle. Square area function will calculate area of square. Triangle's area function will calculate area of triangle. So this is where this method overriding will be useful. So what I did, I created a general class called shape. It is having a method and variables. The method will compute the function. Method means the function area will compute the area of an object. After this, for this general class, I created three subclasses: rectangle, square, triangle. So what these three subclasses are doing means these three subclasses are having the same function name. So here area is there. So here area function is getting overridden. So in base class also, in super class also area function is there. In subclass also area function is there. So preference will be given to uh, the subclass function. So what after that, what the subclasses is doing? These three subclasses are also having the same function name area, which was there in super class. But but this each of these functions overrides the superclass function. So so what it is doing, what it means the function which is there in subclass will be executed. The function which is there in the subclass will be executed. Like if you call the rectangle area function, you will find the area of rectangle. If you call the square thing, the area of a square will be calculated. If you call the area function of class triangle, area of a triangle will be calculated. So mm so this is how um, this is where the method we will be using the method overriding, or it is a this is a practical example of method overriding. So let us learn with the code. Let us learn with the same example with the code. So I'll write the code for the same thing. I'll write the code for the same thing. So what I will do means, see, for the same example, I'm writing the code. So here I will not write the code for triangle. I'll just simplify it to two classes so that the concept remains same. So class, or I'll write it, let it be. I'll write a class called shape. I'll write a class called shape. This is my general class. So here I will use two variables. I'll call it as a comma b. So this is for calculating the shape. And also after that, um, after that, I'll just call the constructor. And I'll initialize with some values, length and breadth. Let it be length and breadth. And a is equal to length, b is equal to breadth. So what I did, I created a class called shape. I used two variables. I declared two variables a and b. Then those two variables a and b are initialized with length and breadth. So after this, I created one function called area. I created one function called area. So what this function area is doing means, what this function area is doing means it will just print system dot out dot println. Uh, so it is loading some. It is loading. System dot out dot println. So what is this? Shape class area. Shape class area. Then I'll just return value 0 to this. So this is my general class. So this is my general class called shape. So this will be my super class for the classes like triangle and rectangle. So and square. So this is my general class. So this is my general class called shape. So now what I will do means I'll create a class called rectangle. I'll create a class called rectangle and I'll extend it with shape. Now, when I write this line, rectangle is the subclass and shape is the superclass because I'm getting the features. I'm performing an inheritance relationship by using the extend keyword. So shape will be my superclass, rectangle will be my subclass. So after this for rectangle also I'll create a constructor. To the constructor means to initialize the values. So let it be like c comma d. Then I will call the constructor mm, of constructor of superclass, which by using the keyword super of I can use this statement. um, constructor what it is taking, super of length comma breadth. Sorry, it's not a comma b, it will be super of length and breadth. So I can use this parameters for calling the constructor. So after that, see, after this I will create after this I will create after this I will create a function called area. So now the area function is there in shape class also. Now the area function is there in rectangle also. So now here what I will do means here I will calculate the area of a rectangle. Here I will calculate the area of a rectangle. This is rectangle class area. This is just to identify rectangle class area. How to calculate the area of a rectangle means length into breadth. So return length into breadth. So return length into breadth means I've stored it in A and B. So A star B. Return A star B will give me the length into breadth. So similarly, okay. So similarly like this, again, again what I will do similarly, again I'll create one more class. Similarly, I'll create one more class called triangle. I'll create one more class called triangle. I'll create one more class called triangle. Again, I'll create a constructor. Triangle constructor for this will be uh, triangle. Again, super dot length, super dot breadth. Okay, that is also fine. Then what else? Then here I'll just write it as triangle class area. Here I'll call it as zero point 0.5 half into base into height. No, so half into base into height, we will get the float value. Um, half into base into so this will be I'll just make it as double because the result the formula to calculate the area of a triangle will be half into base into height. No, so I'll just round it off. I'll just round it off to just take it as 2 for calculations. So now what I did means I created a class. I created a class called shape, had variables, and I created a function called area. And I created two more classes. Rectangle, it is having an inheritance relationship with shape class, and triangle, it is having an inheritance relationship with uh, shape class. That means we have we have we have we have one we have one we have one super class called shape. It is having a function called area, and we have two more subclasses called rectangle and triangle. Both are the subclasses of superclass called shape, and these two classes are also having function called area. These two classes are also having the function called area. So this is regarding the subclasses and this. So after that, let us talk about the main function. So in the main function, what I will do, in the main function, in the main function, in the main function, what I will do means first I will create shape S is equal to new shape of, I want to find the area of 10 comma 50. So I'll just create the parameter. I'll just create the object of superclass. I will create the object of superclass, and I want to calculate the area of rectangle, new rectangle, REC rectangle of 10 comma 100. So for rectangle, let it be 10 comma 100. And one more class called triangle. So I'm creating triangle T is equal to new triangle of, for triangle let it be 20 comma 200, 20 comma 200. So now I want to calculate. No, I want to calculate. So I want to calculate a area of a rectangle with length as 10 and breadth as 100, and for triangle the base will be 20 and height will be 200, some random value. So here we want to know how it is working. So after this I'll create a reference variable. I'll call it as SR. I will call the reference variable as SR, and first I'll assign the SR to rectangle object, and I will call SR dot area. SR dot area. Again, I'll assign this reference variable to triangle. I will call SR dot area. SR dot area. So let me check. Okay. So, so what I did is, um, I created the variables. And I've assigned the values. For them. So now if I run these values, if I run the result, so what I will get is, I will get the this if I run this, I'll get the area of rectangle. I will get the area of rectangle, means the rectangle area will be calculated. So even though we have the area function in shape class, and the area function in uh, which class, in rectangle class, the preference, because it will check which object is referring. Now r belongs to rectangle class, so the function area will be the area function which is there inside the rectangle class will be run uh, during the execution, like it will be allocated during runtime. Similarly the same thing will happen with when you call the sr dot area. It will check for the reference. So here the t belongs to um, the object called it belongs to a class called triangle. So the triangle class area function will be executed. Similarly, see, this is the previously we have studied the same example where we had the same class name called display, class A, class B, class C. But here I'm just extending the same example to calculate the area of a rectangle and triangle. So you just look into this for a minute. Just look into this example for a minute, then we can proceed with the other things.
So once you repeat rectangle, sir.
So, sorry, you are not audible.
The rectangle.
Okay. See, first I created the class called shape. It contained a function. So inside this, I'm defining a function called area. For this class called rectangle, so it is extending, it is creating an inheritance relationship with the shape class. So the shape will be the superclass and rectangle will be the subclass. For the rectangle, also, I am creating a class called area. I'm creating a class called area. Inside this, I'm just writing some logic to calculate the area of a rectangle. So after this, now you can check. We have area function which belongs to shape class and area function which belongs to rectangle class. So when the two functions are there which are having the same name in different classes, and there exists an inheritance relationship, so these kind of functions, we will call it as the method overridden or the overridden method. So what happens means, this function area, it is overriding or it is hiding the function that is there in the superclass, so whenever you call an area function, the function that is there in the subclass will be executed. So what happens means, here, which function to be executed is decided dynamically. It is decided dynamically during the runtime. So how it is decided
Excuse
means,
me.
yes, how it is
As
decided mean, yes,
in class rectangle, sir, in subclass rectangle, we have considered means super keyword, no, sir. Super
yes.
keyword in bracket length and breadth. We
Mm.
can take as a comma b only, no, sir, as we have been declared it's in shape class.
See, you can see here, here it will only check for the number of parameters, that's all. So even if you take a comma b also, it is fine. So what it will do means, it will check for, see, inside the rectangle class we have a constructor called super. So here super contains two parameters. So in this here, what it will do means, it will check in, see, for here rectangle is the subclass, shape is the superclass. So when I when I call this statement, what the JVM will do means, it will look for the constructor which is having two parameters. So whatever value you take, it doesn't matter. You can take it as a comma b, you can take it as c comma d, or you can take it as length comma breadth also. So just since I used it as a length comma breadth, I just use the same thing. So whatever value you can take. So what it will do means, it will look for a constructor with two parameters. So it will just, if here we have a, this is the constructor which is having two parameters, so this statement will be executed. You can take anything, so that is not a problem. You can take a comma b also. What you need is, you just need to pass the constructor, you just need to pass the constructor with values. You just need to pass the constructor with values. um, that is the one thing which you should keep in mind. um, so the so see, what it will do means, it will just look for just it will look for the constructor in the super class which is having the parameters that will match. If the shape class contains a constructor with three variables, here you should pass here you should pass it with 3 variables. So that is the terminology you should understand. So here it can be anything. Here it can be anything. So here I'm calling. Here I want to call a constructor with two variables. So that's why I'm passing the name. So instead of super of a comma b1, I can pass it with c comma d also. C comma d also. See, the naming can be anything. The naming can be anything. But one thing is that name should be that name should match. So here what it is doing, a constructor with two parameters. So in the super class, check for a constructor with two parameter. If I'm written something like shape of integer l comma integer b comma integer h, then so if we have a parameterized constructor with three parameter means here it should be like super of some name a comma b comma c. So a comma b comma c. So like that you should call. So the naming can be anything. See, the naming convention you can give anything. The naming convention can be anything. But remember one thing. So here you cannot see why you cannot give. So here also the name for the constructor should be the one which you are calling it inside this triangle constructor, because this variables are not accessible. So those variables will not be accessible. So whatever variable you're taking here, so these variables are easily identifiable. So for example, if I try to call with len, if I try to call with len, the length is there in the base class. The length is there in the base class. It is not there in this triangle class. So in at that point of time, so this triangle should be length. This triangle parameter should be length. Then only see there it will only match. There it will not look into the name. It will just match based on the number of parameters. So when defining the constructor, you should make sure that whatever name you are giving, that should be accessible. So if I run this program, you can see if I run this program, build and run. Second, I'm getting the output. I should drag this console. See, you're just seeing the rectangle class area, triangle class area. Actually, we are getting the output because it is returning the value. No, that output should be stored somewhere. Integer, I'll call it as result is equal to s dot area. So if I try to print this, I'll get the output system dot out dot print ln res. So this will contain the result of rectangle, and similarly for the triangle also integer, I'll call it as try. So try will contain the result. See why I'm not getting output in this area in this code means it is returning the result. It is returning the result, but that result is not stored somewhere. That result is not stored in a variable. So now I will just modify that. So now you can see you'll get the output also with some value. See the rectangle. You don't worry about the value, the result. You just see the output is you're getting some value, like some calculation. You're able to get that. So this is the practical usage. So this is the practical example of method overriding. So even though we have the same function name, even though we have the same function name uh, in superclass and subclass, the subclass we can modify the function name as per our requirement. So this is the usage of overriding methods. So one interface. So here one interface means here the interface is nothing but the superclass. Here the one superclass can act as a superclass function is there. No, superclass function area will act as an one interface. Multiple methods means the methods of rectangle, the methods of triangle, the methods of square, like that. So like that, that is how this polymorphism is implemented. Any doubt here? Whether understood or still some confusion? Yes
Understood,
or?
sir.
See, next thing is using abstract classes. So using abstract classes means um, it is a using abstract class means it is a see, it is a situation. It is a situation in which it is a situation in which we have a class called A. So this is my super class. It is a situation in which for the super class you will just write the function name. You'll just write the function name. You will not write the logic for that. You are just declaring the function name. You are declaring only the function name, and the definition for this functions will be written by the subclasses. Subclasses. So
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜಲ್ಲಿ ಕೈ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಕೈ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂತ ಇದೆ ಜರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ
see, you just unmute from your end. See, okay. See, abstract classes means it is a situation where the superclass will have only the declaration. The superclass will have only the declaration, and it will not contain the definition. All the definition implementation will be there in the subclasses, which will refer that superclasses. So this is so that those kind of classes we will call it as abstract classes. Those kind of classes we'll call it as abstract classes. So if you take an example, means in our in this example, if I just declare this, if I just declare like this, this will be my abstract class. So this will be my abstract class. In the super class, I am not writing any definition. I am not writing any definition for the program. I'm just writing the program name. So that we will call it as the abstract classes. That we will call it as abstract classes. I'll just write the simple example for that. I'll just write the simple example for this uh, abstract classes. Like I'll create a class called A. I'll create a class called A, and I won't use any variables. I'll create a class called A. For this class called A, I'll write one function called display function. Write one function called display function. So for this display function, for this display function, I will not write any logic. I'll just declare that display function. So now class A is my abstract class. Class A is my abstract class. Why? Because it contains only the function name. It contains only the function name. It doesn't contain any logic for that function. So now how to identify whether a function, how to make a function as abstract means you have to use the keyword abstract. So by writing this name, uh, we know that the display is an abstract function. So it will inform the JVM that at some point of time when some classes derive this class A, you need to write the definition. You need to provide the definition. So this keyword, what it will do means it will tell to the JVM that if some classes like B extends this class. When some classes like B extends this class, you need to write the definition. You need to write the definition for this function called display. So like this. So I'll just write on system dot out dot print ln. I'll just write it as B class. I'll just write it as B class. So if I don't write this, means I'll get an error. So this abstract word, what it will tell means at some point of time, whatever class extends this class A, it has to provide the definition for it has to provide the definition for this display function. Similarly, when the function when you have at least one function as abstract, that class will also become abstract. So you have to use this abstract keyword for class also, otherwise you will get an error. And one more thing, you cannot create object for the abstract classes. You cannot create object for the abstract classes. So those points you should keep in mind. So I'll just delete this. So now these all these things are not necessary. So what do you mean by abstract class means? Abstract class means, see what abstract class means, uh, it contains a function which will not have any definition. So this is the definition. See, for B class, it is having a definition. But here in the class A, it is not having definition. It is having only the declaration. So how to make a function as abstract means you have to use the keyword abstract. If you use the keyword abstract before the function name, that function will become abstract. So what is the usage of this abstract keyword means? It will tell the JVM that when some class extends this abstract class, it has to provide the definition for that function. And when when there is at least one function which is abstract, that the class will also become the abstract class. And you cannot create object for the abstract class. Like if I write a object is equal to new a, I will get an error. I cannot create object for the abstract classes. So because um, abstract classes objects cannot be created, abstract classes object cannot be created. And also that's why, so if I try to create an object for a class called a, I am getting an error. I am getting an error. And also so I just create an object of B class, and I will call this function called b dot disp display. So if I run this, I'll get the output as B class. I'll get the output as, okay, I will get the output as B class. Did you get this point? Did you understand this? Abstract keyword in Java, abstract classes in Java. Why we are using abstract in Java? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
See, one thing is like, see, abstract classes cannot be used to create objects. They can be used to create references only. So that point also you just keep in mind. So what you can tell me, sir, what is the usage of this abstract class means? See, for example, in the beginning of the project in real-time industries and all, they want to create some banking applications. So first time, the mode of payment will be through. So if someone has someone wants to make a payment, someone wants to make a payment uh, to some for something like he wants to like yeah, he's having some bank account, he want to make a payment to some organization. So initially first time they will provide only the payment through net banking. After some time they will allow the option to make payment through Google Pay, Phone Pay. Next time they will also may give the option to make payment through credit cards or whatever mode of payment. So like that. So initially you don't know initially you don't know initially you don't know initially you don't know what to write for this display function in this example. Meaning, so initially you will have only those function names like payment through credit card, payment through uh, Google Pay, payment through UPI. Like that you will just display the function names. As and when you start writing the functionalities for that, so those features will be added. Like this here also, initially you don't know, initially you know that there is a function called display, but you don't know why or when that function should be used or for what it should be used. So for example, you're writing a banking application, you're writing some banking project. So you know that banking project will have add money, withdraw money, like transfer money, like that some functions will be there. So initially what you will do means you'll just write only those function names. In the subsequent modules, you will write the functionalities for add, you will like the adding the money, transferring the money, withdrawing the money. So that is how this can be used. So in our previous example of area means, initially you can declare the area to be blank in the class called shape, in the class called in the class called shape in the class called shape you can declare this area to be blank. After that, when you are writing a rectangle class, there you can write the logic for area of rectangle. When you are using a square class, you can write the area of square class. And when you are considering a triangle, you can write the logic associated with triangle, like that. The specific implementations can be written. So like that. So this is the usage of abstract class. So what and all points you should remember means, you cannot create an object for the abstract class if a class contains at least one method as abstract means the entire class will become abstract. So the class should be prefixed with abstract keyword. What do you mean by abstract class means, it will contain only the name, it will not contain the logic, it will contain only the declaration, it will not contain the definition. So these are the points regarding the abstract classes. Any doubts here? Any doubts regarding this abstract class? Whether you understood how to use this abstract class? Yes or no?
Yes,
Any
sir.
doubts?
So scroll down, sir, one second.
Yes. Scroll down. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So now, so this is regarding the abstract classes. So now, now, uh, just a five. I'll take for 5 more minutes. This concept is also very much important. So now, um, we'll talk about the keyword called final. We'll talk about the keyword called final. Okay. So what is the usage of this keyword final? So this is comment out part. So now I'll write a variable as a is equal to 5. I'll write this variable as a is equal to 5. Then I'll write it as a plus plus. Then I'll print it as system dot out dot print ln. I'm printing the value of a. So why I'm not getting this integer a is equal to 5? Okay, I'll just write it here itself, a plus plus. Some dot out dot println. It is not taking, no, I'll write it as integer k is equal. Okay. See, see, whatever I want to print, I have to write it within the class. So that's within the function. So that's why I'm getting the error here. So I'll write it now. Now you won't get the error. Okay. So instead of this, we'll simplify this only. See, because class is a collection of variables and functions. Okay. So I was trying to print the statement there. So that's why I was getting the error. So now I've created a now I've created a class called A. I've created a class called A. So let me, I will name it as K because class A should not be confused here. So now I've created a class called A. For this class, I'll create an object. I'll create an object by this name. For this class, I'll create an object. Then I will call this ob dot display. I'll call this ob dot display. So what will be the output if I write like this? What will be the output? What will be the output? Can anyone tell what will be the output if I write like this?
6.
You will get the output as 6. Okay, I'll build this I'll run this. So I'm getting the output as 5 because why why you are getting the 5 as the output means first it will print the value. After that, it will increment. So instead of that, I'll just call it as k plus 5. K plus 5. So if I make it as k plus 5 means the output will be 10. So now if I use a if I use a final keyword, if I use a final keyword on the variable, what will be the implications? So if I use a keyword final on this, what will happen? So I'm using a keyword. I'm using a final. Um, I am using a keyword called final. I'm using a keyword called final on this variable called k. So after this, if I try to build, if I try to build, so 1 second, I'll just save this. Okay. Now, I'll just simplify that because directly if I print, you will not understand. So initially, I'll remove this keyword. I'll remove this keyword. The value of k is 5 now. For that k, I will add 5 more. So when I run this, I'll get the output as 10. When I run this, I'll get the output as 10. So for this variable, I'll add a keyword called final. For this variable, I'll add a keyword called final. So if I add a keyword called final means this k will become constant. This k will become constant and I cannot change the value of this k. So if I try to change this, I will get an error. So when you're using a final keyword, when you're using a final keyword for a variable, that variable will become constant. That variable will become constant. And if I try to run this means I'll get an error. I'll get an error because I cannot change the value of this variable k. I cannot change the value of this variable k. Whether you are getting this point, whether you understood this point, whether you understood
Yes,
this
sir.
point. So if you want to make a variable as constant, use the keyword final. So the same thing, I'll the same thing. Now I'm using the final keyword on on a method. I'm using the final keyword on a method class B. First, you just understand class B extends class A, and I don't need this also. I don't need this also now. Here I'll just write it as B. Here I'll write it as A. See, this final is interdependent, so that's why I just don't want to leave it. So now there is a class called A, there is a class called B. Both the classes are having the same function display, display. Both the functions are having the same function display, display. So after this, if I build and if I run this, it will print A. It will print A. And again, if I create the reference and even if I again, like again, if I create it as A, some reference, A reference, and if I create B is equal to B is equal to new B, and for the reference, if I store it as R is equal to B, R is equal to B, and if I call this B dot display, I'll get the output as B. So that is not needed for us. That is not needed for us. So we'll just undo this or let it be ob dot display something. So that concept is not needed now. So I just wanted to tell you the program. So now if I make a method as final. Now I'm making a method as final. Now I'm making a method as final. Now I cannot make any changes to this display function. So the function which is there in the base class cannot be overridden in the subclass. So if I make a variable as final, I cannot change its value. If I make a function as final, I cannot override that function in the subclasses. If I try to do that, I will get an compile time error. So if you want to prevent a function from overriding means use this keyword final. Is this concept clear? Is this concept clear? Understood? Whether you are following this or not, see the same function name, I cannot use it in the subclasses. That's all. Display function is already there in the base class. So if I use the base means superclass function with final keyword in the subclasses, I cannot use them. Did you get this point? See for
Yes,
a
sir.
okay. And the last thing, if I make a class as final means I cannot use it for inheritance. So the inheritance will be prevented if I make a class as final. Now I cannot inherit this class A. If I try to do that, I will get an error because the class is final. So this is the usage of super keyword in uh, Java. So this is very important. This is very important. The super keyword has three uses. If you use it for a variable, you cannot change the value of that variable. If you use it for a function, that function cannot be overridden. And if you use it for a class, that class cannot be inherited. So this is a simple examples to demonstrate the same thing, to prevent overriding, to prevent inheritance, and to prevent the changing of a value. Any doubts? Any doubts regarding the final? Any doubts regarding this final keyword? Whether you understood this? See, this final is very important from the examination point of view and from the interview point of view also. Any doubts?